Hi everyone, it's time for the weekly video again, and I'm nice and early again because it's another bank holiday weekend here in the UK. Fun times, good times for those who are able to enjoy the holiday, not so good times for those who have to work anyway. So as I've spent many years in that position, I always remember that not everyone gets the public holidays. So I hope you'll appreciate those who keep things running in the meantime while we have time to enjoy ourselves a little bit more. I need to start with a correction again. I'm making a habit of this weekly, and this time it was the fault of my eyesight while I was trying to read the back of a case while looking at a bright light above the phone so that I can record my videos properly. Lover's Lane. Lover's Lane is actually 1999, not 1989. I was only off by a decade. But in a pleasant and surprising turn of events, I did get to watch Lover's Lane. You know, I quite enjoyed it. It's a fairly generic slasher movie. It is not too bloody or inventive, but it does what it needs to do for that kind of thing. Yeah, I mean, it was all delivered without any nods and winks, and I quite enjoyed the third act more than I expected to, which feels in line with some other big names within the slasher subgenre. Casted okay. It's got gratuitous nudity and violence from the very beginning to at least give you a taste of what you might have been looking for if you were after the lowest common denominator stuff. And then it generally leaves that aside to go to the actual storyline and the attempts to build tension, which I thought worked quite well. I was pleasantly surprised by it. It wasn't a sort of, you know, an overlooked gem or an unseen classic, but it's pretty decent. Only the one bit of post for me this week, and I don't know who I am anymore, because this was £25 on Amazon and I felt the need to get it. I've never seen any of these movies. Airport 1975, Airport 77, and The Concorde, Airport 79. I'm pretty sure I can't be too far off with the years there because they're generally in the titles. But I've had a hankering for a while to pick up that set and to pick up, I think there may be 2 box sets of the Johnny Weissmuller Tarzan movies, which are just a nostalgic sweet spot for me from when I was a kid and used to see them on TV when I was younger. Cheetah the Chimp, Tarzan swinging about. I'm sure in many respects they've aged horribly. You know, there will be many problematic elements of them, but they will take me right back to being, I don't know when I would have watched maybe 6, 7, 8 years old when we were filling out the TV schedules. And when it comes to the airport movies, I think many of you may have listened to a podcast by the late Gilbert Gottfried, Gilbert Gottfried's Amazing Colossal podcast, and it's wonderful to hear him not care about really tiptoeing around guests that he wants to use as a stepping stone to the past, to certain times in Hollywood, whether it is going as far back as he can to the real, you know, classics of the Marx Brothers or even before the Marx Brothers, whether it is harkening back to the disaster movies that would assemble the glorious cast of I'm going to say perhaps once A-list stars who are then, you know, getting a paycheck for appearing in stuff that they may not have done years before. I think that's a nice enough and diplomatic way to put it. But there is a certain, you know, pleasure and joy to be had in watching those. You know, I've always been a big fan of the Poseidon Adventure. There are many other big disaster movies that I've either never seen or I've seen so long ago that I've forgotten. Like, I can't remember Earthquake. I know at one point an earthquake hits. I can't remember Roller Coaster. I think at one point an earthquake hits, or maybe it's a bomb in Roller Coaster. I've seen Airplane and Airplane 2, so I doubt I will be able to take much that is in the airport movies seriously. But then again, I did see Hot Shots before I ever saw Top Gun, and I still managed to overcome that hurdle and enjoyed Top Gun for what it was. So that was good. But that was the only bit of post this week. Otherwise, I have been catching up on a lot of viewings. I have things that will be lined up on my blog to review. So I'll give you a little sort of recap. There are big titles that I've been allowed to see and schedule up reviews for. Renfield is absolutely awesome. I just think it was brilliant. It was more ridiculously gory than I expected. For the most part, I think both Nicholas Hoult and Nicolas Cage play it pretty straight, and they are both wonderful in their roles. Awkwafina's fantastic. Ben Schwartz is a lot of fun. I mean, it was great. I wanted to enjoy it, and it hit the sweet spot, like so much closer to the bullseye than I expected. Really good. Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves, a lot of people had already seen and enjoyed, and yes, it's a lot of fun. Suffers slightly from, you know, having to be 2 hours 50 minutes, and the first 50 minutes is you know, a lot of setup, if you like, but doesn't do too badly with the pacing. There are some really nice set pieces there. It's yeah, it's a good time. I would recommend it. Chris Pine continues to be a devilishly charming Chris. And what else did I watch recently? Oh, Quasi, which is here in the UK on Disney Plus, tucked away, a comedic tale featuring Quasimodo as the central character. From the Broken Lizard troupe, and I tend to enjoy most of what Broken Lizard do. If you do enjoy their shtick, you will enjoy this. If you were worn out by them after, you know, Super Troopers, then you're not going to like this. It's not great. It's not up there with their best work, but it made me chuckle. Had some nice running gags, and yeah, I'd recommend it if you're fans of those. Like, it was just silly fun, and I always like their habit sometimes of playing multiple characters and doing things that way, which they do here, I think, more than any other time they have done that. Does that cover everything? Were there any other big titles I was getting to? I don't think so. Oh, I suppose, did I mention Scream 6 already? I don't think I did. That review is going to be on my blog tomorrow. I didn't like Scream 2022. It is my least favourite of the Scream series. I just didn't really connect with the new characters. I didn't think the kills were great, and I thought the messaging through it was clumsily handled, not as nicely interwoven and sort of cleverly done as has been the case with most of the other installments in the series. Before this, my least favourite was Scream 3, which I still enjoyed, but you know, had similar problems, certainly in terms of the clumsiness of interlocking the slasher movie thrills with the commentary. Scream 6 is possibly my third favourite of the series. It's third or fourth. It's really close between Scream 4, Scream 2 and now Scream 6. Really close. The opening is arguably the best opening sequence since the first movie. I absolutely loved it. Immediately, it didn't blow my mind, but had me thinking, right, you know, they're finally getting back to doing something that is genuinely surprising and interesting. I enjoyed quite a few of the set pieces that were dotted throughout it, and I really liked the ending. Now, the characters still aren't great, I don't think, but you can automatically feel a bit warmer towards them because you've known a lot of them from the previous movie, so that helps. The lead, is it the lead? Yeah, who isn't the one who isn't Jenna Ortega. I forget the names of everyone else in this, so forgive me, but I don't think the lead is very good, and she's the weakest of the bunch, so that doesn't help. That really doesn't help, but everything else is really strong. Aside from maybe trying to still continue to comment on the idea of the ongoing movie series and the cine literacy of the characters, bizarrely that's kind of a slight stumble, but I think it's just harder to make that seem more natural and more interesting as this series moves on. You know, I'm pretty sure there'll be a 7th. I don't know what they're going to do for the in-film commentary on that, but I'll be interested to watch it now. I had set up Scream 6 as a kind of begrudging one I had to watch, because the completist in me would not allow myself to just completely drop a series, especially one that I had such a soft spot for so many years. So yeah, Scream 6 is a real return to form in my view, but I don't know if everyone will agree with that, because a lot of people like Scream 2022 and I didn't, so make of that what you will. But I thought it was great. I really appreciate people who actually watch videos and comment. There are a couple of people that regularly pop up. I like to see their names. Marie is one under a pseudonym. Sorry, I think that's okay. Just first name. Carl is another, and I keep an eye on his videos. And if I had the information here, I would read it to you. I think it might just be Into the Blue with BLU. Sorry, I forgot Carl. I'll note that down next time to try and mention people. In fact, I'll try and remember to put a link in the description underneath and do that. And other people that stumble upon these, thank you. Please hit like, subscribe. I know it's very loose and can sometimes feel like a complete ramble, and then I know very occasionally I can do enough to cover up for the fact that it is a complete ramble and it might seem semi-structured and organised. It isn't. It never is. But it might seem that way accidentally, which is nice. This week on the podcast, Tyler has picked Blew My Mind, which is a drama featuring 2 young women in it. There may be an undercurrent of romance or sexual frisson between them. I don't know. I'm not going to tell you that. It does look more interesting than the usual Tyler choice. And Dave decided to really stick the knife in and twist it with Fiend by Don Dohler. So he knew I'd suffered last week with Galaxy Invader by Don Dohler. So this week it was Fiend. Oh no, it wasn't Dave that picked that, was it? It was Craig. I've forgotten who's picking with who. Anyway, Blew My Mind from Tyler. Looks interesting. Some son of a bitch picked the Don Dohler movie, and I've got to watch another Don Dohler movie. And at this point, I've already watched too many Don Dohler movies. Save me. Save me from Don Dohler movies. I hope, if anything, you enjoy it when you hear what could potentially be another angry rant against Don Dohler. And I'll see you next week.